Welcome to what was supposed to be a little guide on how to kill the death in the updated version now. I didn't expect anything to change, but I wanted to give an overview, a new guide instead of just little trickle updates. And it's been 5 hours now. I even stopped recording, went at it again. It has been horrible. So if you attempt this in the future, if you haven't done it yet, expect this to be a very lengthy process. In the past I used to take 1 to 2 attempts until I got to the death, to fight him. And this time it's horrible. I don't know what's going on, I don't know what changed, I don't know if I changed. But apparently I can't do it anymore despite killing him more than 20 times meanwhile. So just for you, if you want to do it, do not take growth as a power up, do not take curse, do not take magnet, because you want to minimize the chance that you level up. Your position should just be somewhere between this table here and this bookshelf. It doesn't matter too much, and I've tried out every single position in the past, they worked. Now I tried out every single position again and even copied what I did in the past because I thought I'm going crazy. And, well, there was a high chance that I would level up. This time, I didn't level up. If that doesn't happen, roughly 2 minutes in, 2.5 minutes in, a red gem will appear, like this one here. If you don't see it on screen, then at the very beginning your center water dropped down and killed an enemy off screen. Or down below, right? That could also happen. When that happens and the enemy drops a gem, then it will pick that gem to appear as the red gem. That just accumulates all the future experience, because at one point there's too much experience and it can't drop them anymore. It's meant to decrease lag. For us it's very useful because that means we know in this gem there are all the future level ups in there, and we just have to reach that to kill the death, or rather to get our weapons, to get our power ups, and then to kill the death. After step 1 of choosing the right power ups, or rather removing the wrong ones, you want to make sure that when you get on the level and you see center water dropping down, remember where it dropped down, because that's where you have to rush. If the red gem doesn't appear, you might also just want to reset, because you have to travel quite a distance down there and there's a high chance you die on the way 2 times and then you just wasted 30 minutes. It's easier to just reset 3 minutes in. Second, let's talk a bit about what items and weapons do you want to go for. I usually call passive weapon items. So this is my chart that I made and I tested all of these. The only one that is yellow at the bottom, the Garlic, Empty Tome and Spellbinder, they are valid, I tried them out, it's just a lot harder, so I do not recommend them. But aside from that, everything that you want to go for is just, if you get it, bone. Otherwise, of course, Rune Tracer, you need that level 2. You have to play the character Clericy. If you don't play her, then you don't have this insane increase in size from the Rune Tracer. And then you can't beat the stage on level 2, which you need, okay? It's mandatory. Why is it mandatory? The Reaper or the Death, however you want to call him, gains roughly 650,000 HP per level that you have. That means if you get there at level 80, good luck killing him at several million HP. So back to the topic of picking what we need later on. Rune Tracer, obviously needed just to get there. Bone, insanely strong. If you get it, just get it. The next 2 that are really important are Lol and Clock Lancet, because otherwise you won't survive. And the last 2 optional ones are Thousand Edge and Holy Wand. They do deal a decent amount of damage, but honestly it just shaves off a couple of seconds. It's not really that needed. While the damage numbers usually look quite high, it's mostly because they hit multiple enemies, and Rune Tracer does most of the work. In the bottom row you can see the items or passive weapons. Empty Tome and Spellbinder are really good, you can use both of them together, combined. Candelabrador is MVP, you need the increased size to hit him once you level up, because Clericy then loses the area bonus that we have right now. Next up we have Brazier and Spinach, both are really good because Brazier just makes Rune Tracer faster and Spinach increases its damage. And lastly we have Duplicate and Tiramisu. I recommend Tiramisu because if something goes wrong, then you always have a backup plan, right? So if you can, just pick it up, but if you're very certain that you know what you're doing and you don't think you'll fail, then go for a duplicator, but then you probably wouldn't be watching that guide right now. On the right side you see Empty Tome, Spellbinder, Empty Tome plus Spellbinder, Garlic plus Empty Tome, Garlic plus Spellbinder. These are all confirmed ways that work to kill the Reaper, to kill the Death. If you want to go for the one that deals the most damage, go for Empty Tome and Spellbinder. It deals by far the most damage. You can also go for Garlic and Empty Tome and Garlic and Spellbinder. Garlic and Empty Tome works really well, surprisingly. But if you want to have the most reliable, the easiest approach, go for Empty Tome and Spellbinder. The only reason why Garlic and Empty Tome can be better under certain circumstances is because you can then pick Duplicator and Tiragisu combined, which further increases your damage and it helps you quite a lot. But instead of picking those 5 options that I have listed there, how you should view this instead is, hey, if I have Empty Tome, I can still do it. If I only have Spellbinder, I can still do it. But if I get Empty Tome and I find Spellbinder, then I should go for it, okay? The middle one is pretty much the best one, but all of them work. It just depends on what you get. So if in a very bad case, for example, you max out, you only got Empty Tome and that's it, but you still have a weapon slot open, just pick up Garlic, it has the same effect. One thing I want to say is Tiragisu always a clear pick over Duplicator? No. Your main goal is to kill the Reaper quite early. You don't want to wait until a second Reaper, a third Reaper, a fourth Reaper appear, because they push each other out of the way and make it really hard to deal with them and to survive. One thing that is really good, if you die randomly, then obviously Tiragisu gives you additional revives, but also, if you have Duplicator instead, then you have more damage, and that might lead to the Reaper dying way earlier. Like, for example, at 31 minutes and 30 seconds. So I would say it's better, do I get Tiragisu? Like, if it shows up, hey, just get it. If Duplicator shows up, just get Duplicator. Both are rather rare, so it's unlikely that you find both of them. I'm not saying it's impossible, but aiming for both of them is very unlikely. So just pick whatever you get, both of them are fine. One will just mean it takes longer, but you have a better safety net. If you heard something in other older guides and I don't mention it, then you can be 99% certain that they don't matter anymore. Things like Empty Tome bug, it got fixed. Or for example, to avoid picking up chests, that's also not a problem anymore. It's totally fine, there used to be an Empty Tome bug, it's related to this. If you're unsure about something, just feel free to ask, maybe you missed something and now you try something else. But if you just repeat exactly what I'm doing, then it should work for you. So just a very short recap, be prepared that this might take hours. I don't know if something changed or if I just constantly mess it up despite me doing this I don't know how many times, but I think something might have changed and you're just more likely to level up due to that. Let's take a quick moment to talk about positioning, because this is the first time where it would really matter when you make an early choice, because for example you collect too much experience. So, as you might notice, the enemies are getting quite close, and this is why you can't move too far upwards. It will just kill you, they will touch you, and eventually you'll die. Losing a revive is pretty much a death sentence, because the chance that you get to your experience gem without dying once is quite low. The further away it is, the lower it is, so yeah. The second thing you might notice is that the rune tracer sometimes changes in distance. So sometimes it's very close and it's covering myself, and other times it's going down super far. It's fine as long as the enemies don't touch you, but if that happens frequently or you might even die because of that, just move down slightly and pray that you don't pick up too much experience. And moving just to avoid experience doesn't do that much, because whatever you do, if it does a benefit on one side, it has a downside on another side. So for example, if I go further to the left to avoid the experience from enemies that come from the right side early on, then the enemies that go behind the bookshelves, they will drop experience and that will get into me, because the rune tracer is still at the same position down there. And of course the same thing if I go further down, then the enemies that are below me have a higher chance that the experience drops on top of me or close enough that I pick it up. And if I go further to the right, then yes, I'm further away from the bookshelves and the enemies to the bottom left, but closer to the enemies on the right side of the table. And that's why I meant it doesn't really matter too much where you stand, it's just important that you are not too close to the wall, because otherwise the enemies will just kill you. If you notice that your rune tracer is shooting out and leaving your place, 1 is usually fine. As long as 1 is left, it still pushes back the enemies, but you can just slightly move to the left side to avoid that. Especially like here, if you see there's no experience close by, I could just move slightly to the left side, because then the angle from the rune tracer would change and there's no longer a way that it could move out. Right now it can move out if it shoots straight down, and that's of course a problem if that happens for both projectiles, or for example one of them moves out and the other one just goes a bit lower, so I'm no longer protected from the enemies that get too close. Once you're at 29 minutes, it's pretty much get ready to rumble. The enemies are too big to get anywhere close to you, so you can be certain that you won't die at this point if you survived all the other waves. And yeah, preparation time, we already did that. We talked about all the weapons that we want to go for, all the passive weapons we want to go for, and now a trick for you to survive. We know we have to move over to the left, and I will intentionally walk into the chest here and then pick up experience. And my main goal will be to pick up Laurel and Clock Lancet. The reason is, whenever you level up or pick up a chest, you are invulnerable, and you'll see that indicated by us being white. There was a time in the game where you could stack this up to a degree where you would have like 30 seconds of invulnerability. This was a very good example for Rune Tracer going out and this one going further down, but because they are so big it didn't matter. But yes, there is a way of stacking this, but I haven't found a way to make this consistent. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So one thing I want to mention here, the moment it hits 30 minutes and the enemies explode, it's an event that is triggered at the same time. The Reaper spawning and the enemies exploding. There is no scenario where the enemies explode and no Reaper spawning. What can happen, however, the actual tile set that you're on right now is way bigger than what it looks like. It has the same size as on the other stages, and above you is a ginormous empty room. That room is cut off by the bookshelves here, and if the Reaper spawns up there, then he can get stuck behind all of the bookshelves, especially while you level up and while you open chests. It interrupts the game flow, and that can cause him to be stuck up there. If that happens, just proceed as normal. You don't have to pick up all the chests or so for invulnerability. Just go to your experience, level up, get the stuff, then move down until he teleports over to you. So, let's just continue. I have my first chest. I don't see him right now, so I'm not too concerned, but also he just spawned, right? I moved the moment they exploded, so he might just be around the corner and coming in. He might also be stuck on the left side here, so there are a couple of ways of him not being here yet, but he'll be here in a second. Okay, I still don't see him right now, so I actually assume he is stuck up there. I will pick up the knife as damaging weapon. I'll keep one slot. That is usually the Holy Wand, in case we get Bone, because Bone is insane damage-wise. Candelabrador, lol. Perfect, Laurel. Okay, there he is. He was to the right side. We have another level in Laurel. We should be relatively safe here now. Because now we will level up a bunch of times, and every single time we level up, we have the invulnerability. So there's not a lot that can happen to us. We go for Knife. We go for Knife again. We go for Brazier. And one thing that I want you to do when you do this here is do not max out the weapons, okay? Because stuff like this will happen more frequently if you have stuff maxed out. This one here is just unlucky, but the more you finish, the less is offered, and the more likely you are to get something offered that you don't want to have. So there we have Knife, we have... I'll go for Laurel here. And then we have Spinach, and that... Take your time, by the way, okay? You don't want to mess this up and accidentally pick something that you don't want to have. It honestly doesn't matter too much what else you pick if you're forced into something. You can avoid heavy knockback weapons, but honestly it actually doesn't influence it too much. I tried out all of them because it was advised to not use certain ones. Candelabrador, really important. And the difference they made is really insignificant. In fact, for some of them it was even beneficial, because the Reaper has negative knockback. And that causes him to be pushed into you if you have knockback against him. So in some cases it's actually good because you deal more damage against him, but overall don't think about it too much, go for the main stuff you need to go for and care little about the rest. Okay, there we have it, Spellbinder. We only need Empty Tome now. I'm gonna max out the Laurel here. There we have Knife. He's still stuck over there. I'm a bit concerned with that. Candelabrador. Clock Lancet, perfect, finally. That took some time. Spellbinder. Brazier. Okay, these will be maxed out, so I'm just gonna max out the Rune Tracer. Tiragisu, ooh, that's not a difficult one. I still have my revive, so I actually don't really need Tiragisu. You know what, I'm not gonna go for Tiragisu, instead I'll go for Duplicator, just because I believe in myself that I know what I have to do. Empty Tome, perfect. Knife. Brazier. Because as I said, like, your main goal is to kill the Reaper before too many Reaper spawn, and you just can't deal with them anymore because they push each other out of the frozen state. But yeah, Tiragisu can deal with that if it happens randomly, but if it happens consistently, it's just game over. You lost. Empty Tome. Okay, so I'm still missing Duplicator. This is what I'm a bit concerned about and why I told you, if you find something, just pick it. I'm gonna go for Magic Wand, because now I could already have the Tiragisu, right? And I might get forced into an option that I didn't want to go for, just because I didn't pick it there. So just for you, and this is why I told you to do it, because that's a safe approach, just pick it if you see it, one of them. Not both, just one. Empty Tome. Spellbinder to not max out the Clock Lancet. That one is maxed out at 7. Magic Wand. Clock Lancet, sure. Duplicator, perfect. Okay, there it is. So now I'm pretty much set. I can just max out everything. By the way, in case I wouldn't have gotten the Duplicator, I would have probably went for Attract Orb for Labora evolution. I don't really see anything else that has a lot of benefit for you. And now this will continue up until around level 100 to 120. It differs a lot. The lowest I've been once was 86. So, but that was a one-time off. I don't really know what happened there. I don't think that will happen again. Okay, there we go. Now I have 2 evolutions to go for. We do have the knives, and then we have the Holy Wand. Both deal okay damage. It's really, you will see it's not a lot compared to what the Rune Tracer is doing. And the way I'm gonna do this now is, I'm gonna go to the table, roughly to the half of it, and then I'm gonna nudge myself slightly up, like this, and then just slightly up. There we go. This is already enough. He should be jumping upwards once he's unfrozen, but I'm wasting a lot of time right now. Do you see that? So in fact, what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna bump him in there, because he might get stuck down there infinitely until the next Reaper spawns. And I'm just gonna bump him up there, so he's in the perfect position. And now I'm gonna go over here. In fact, this position is already enough, but I'm gonna face up, because enemies behave weird when you face upwards or towards a wall. But as you can see, there are a ton of damage numbers, and this is what you want to do. The only issue right now is that I started this pretty much 20-30 seconds in, and I already lost a ton of time. My main hope right now is that when the other Reaper spawns, he'll be on the left side or the right side, right with my Clock Lancet. So now left side would... This is the worst one. Ooh, this will be difficult. Okay, he didn't push through, that's good. There's a high chance that he is now permanently stuck there until a new Reaper appears and pushes him. You can see that our Rune Tracers are going really wild here. And he's already dead. 31 minutes, 10 seconds, that was already it. We saw it, we killed him insanely fast, so it definitely still works, but it seems to be way less reliable to actually get to the Reaper. Once you're there, it's quite simple. You can see what did the most damage. I have a ton of update videos if you want to check that out, and